Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. Across from me, with the power of the internet, is
Penny Pitchlynn.
Thank you so much again for doing this with me. You're also known, I guess, by your artist name.
Yeah. So my solo project is called LABRYS.
So who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, my name's Penny Pitchlynn. I am a singer, songwriter, bass player, guitar player, composer, kind of producer, writer, performer, and currently a department manager at a grocery store.
Cool. I don't really care to talk about people's day jobs. Nobody really wants to talk about their own day jobs. And so we really want to talk about all the music involved things. So first of all, how did you first get started in music?
I didn't really start sharing music until like my early 20s, as far as like performing and stuff. But I grew up with musical parents, not like professionally, but my mom was always playing piano in the house and my dad played guitar and, mainly like started singing in choirs, both at church and my elementary school had a really cool music program where we learned things on like xylophones and kind of learned about melodies and like composition of pieces. Our music teacher would like dissect a piece and teach us all kind of orchestra style on xylophones, different parts, and then we'd play them all together. And I just always loved music. I always sang a lot growing up. And so I think music's always been a big part of my life. But as far as like actually writing my own music and specifically sharing that music with other people, that was a little bit later in my development, I suppose.
I always forget to ask, but like in case you didn't grow up where you are now, where did you grow up?
Oh, yeah. Well, I almost did. I grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, and I'm currently living in Oklahoma City. I went to high school up here in Oklahoma City and elementary school as well. But I lived in Norman.
Yeah, I feel like, a lot of people get their music basics from just those like elementary school music classes. Were you involved in any music stuff in like middle school or high school, or did that kind of like go by the wayside with kind of as you get involved in other stuff?
I quietly looked up to some musicians I saw in like the spotlight, if you will, but never really thought that, I don't know, I never really thought that that was a thing I could do. I thought that was something to be left to whoever was like, I don't know, predestined by likely like birth into royalty or something, of who would be the musicians. I don't think I was never really growing up. I just kind of knew of like what was on the radio and what was, pretty commercial. And so I wasn't really exposed as a young person to like local music or DIY music, or just the idea of being an artist for being an artist's sake. And I don't think I ever thought that was something I could do until a little bit later in my life. But yeah.
When did you decide to like, ooh, I can do music,
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I think that kind of happened to me too, I'll be honest. Like in high school and stuff, I was always like writing songs, but I kind of joked for a while that I was like a closet guitar player. And I was just too, like, I never really thought I was very good, and just kind of, I was doing it for me, for sure, as you do. It was an emotional outlet, a place I process things. And I guess really at some point, I was like playing a song that I wrote at a friend's house, and a mutual friend was there. I don't even think I was playing for anyone per se, but they happened to hear some of it and asked me if I wrote it. And I said, yes. And he happened to play bass and was just like, we should start a band. And I kind of just went along with it. I didn't, yeah, I don't think I would have ever thought, oh, I could do music, until someone else kind of like validated what I was doing in a way that was acting like it was, I don't know, I don't want to say special, but just like, unique and something that could be appreciated by anyone other than me. I'd never really had thought about it being like worth anything to anyone besides myself.
What was that band? And, I guess where did you go from there?
So that band was called Penny Hill, and that was kind of like a stage name I took on, but like called the band that. And we really just played. It was myself, a guy named Tanner Blair who played the bass, a guy named Kyle Combs who played the Farfisa organ, and then a guy named Chase Spivey who played drums. And like those people were like the core of it. I don't really know how long that was, maybe a couple of years even. But they were like the core of it. And then we'd occasionally get other people involved, like, like a trumpet player or like a violinist or just kind of, I liked kind of orchestral type arrangements. But it was definitely like a folk sort of, I guess, instrumentation wise, it was like a folk project. And yeah, I don't know, just kept writing songs and playing them with these guys. And then, at some point, people kind of went their own ways. I went through another iteration of that same band. I recorded some of the songs I had been playing and some new songs with a friend named Travis Linville. And that record is actually on Spotify. And then I did like a couple singles, or like a 7-inch rather, that I think is also on Spotify, under Penny Hill. And that was kind of it. Then I kind of like disappeared for a little while, for various reasons. And then, what came of that was, I guess I kind of just through that experience learned how important music was to me, just almost as like my creative practice is, I guess, a big part of my spiritual practice and my like emotional and mental health. So anytime I've been like separated from it for very long, cut off from it, if you will, it's not been good. It's generally been a time of a lot of struggle and strife for myself. So yeah, that was like the first project. And then that kind of, I got involved in other people's projects and playing in other people's bands and stuff like that. And then like way fast forward, then like 2017, I started doing my own music again and named my project LABRYS, because really like 7 years had gone by since I had put anything out of my own. And I just felt like such a different human being than I was when I had last recorded and done music and of my own. So I wanted to rename it and come at it with a fresh feel.
What were your influences whenever you first started being in a band and putting songs together yourself?
There's a certain, like, what was his name? Phil Elverum, the Microphones, the Knot Twist, a lot of this like kind of emo-y, not emo, but like emotional and emotive anti-folk, I guess, or I don't really remember what the genre is called, but like just this like scene of kind of DIY folk musicians that were kind of actually pretty well known by that time, that had come out of like the Seattle, Olympia, I don't know, the Puget Sound area, I guess. And it was kind of like this rainy, dreary vibe that I really liked. It wasn't like necessarily sad, but it was definitely like thoughtful folk music, I guess is what I'd call it. Like, you know, and then like Daniel Johnston, like just really heartfelt folk music that was like modern, I guess. I don't know if that's describing it right or not, but Mira comes to mind. I really liked Mira, and like, yeah, the Microphones, they were like I was a huge fan of them.
I think that there's a weird thing that happens that like once you get involved in music, like there's all of these assumptions, I guess, that happen, which is like, oh, I guess we're in a band now. Should we record these songs? I guess we're in a band now. Should we perform these songs? And like, where did those things happen? How kind of easily did that come to you?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, that did not come easily to me at all. I didn't record. I played in a band and didn't record anything for like 2.5 years or more. Because I didn't really think about that. It didn't come easy to me. The performing part definitely didn't come easy to me. When I was a kid, I was like deathly afraid of being on stage and being the center of attention. I hated it. I would get really sick before I would do ballet recitals and stuff. I don't even remember doing more than one. I don't think my mom put me through that. I think she saw how much I hated it and then kind of let me sit back and not have to do that. But yeah, it was very difficult. I will definitely admit to, using drugs and alcohol to get over what I would say is like stage fright and imposter syndrome. And at that point, I don't think it was imposter syndrome, though. I think I legitimately didn't know what the hell I was doing and kind of didn't really understand why anyone would want to watch me like suffer through attempting to play. Like it would all be fine in someone's garage, or even like in a backyard, at like a house party or something. But once it got into like the stage and the PA and all the amplification and, when I was like the loudest thing in the room, like I used to hate hearing my own voice through the PA. I mean, really my development of an artist is like hand in hand with my development as a human being and like self-acceptance and growing into like taking up space and stuff. Like it was not easy when I was younger. I was not able to do that very easily. I don't know. I felt very scared, and it's taken a lot of practice, I guess.
And then I guess in contrast to like what you're doing now, and you're sort of intentionally seeking out music, and like you mentioned earlier, that you, in those times when it's not prevalent in your life, it affects your mental health. So like, how is music now and the things that you're making now sort of fulfilling a bit more of that creative passion in a way that, benefits you?
Well, yeah, I think now it's like a balance in the other direction almost. Like I have to remember, like, I'm not in a hurry to do anything. I play in a band that deals with like labels and the industry more than my own project does. And so like that world has a little bit of like deadlines and these types of things, but my stuff I've really kept for myself, but I do really enjoy sharing it with people now. Now that I'm not so scared of it. So yeah, like I seek things out. I try to be more intentional, and I still sometimes avoid it, to be honest. It's like weird how, sometimes, I mean, I think we all do that in different areas of our lives. We just like, for what it's like, you refuse to go to the gym or whatever, even though, you feel great when you get done with it. It's like, I'm lazy sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to write the song that wants to be written, if that makes sense. Sometimes where I am emotionally is like, easier to avoid than face it head on and walk through it and write about it, or whatever, like experience it, because that's usually for me what ends up happening. If I really sit down and dig in, I find out where I am and like I start experiencing the feelings that I've maybe been like talking myself out of, or putting my like rational mind, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been like explaining myself out of, or convincing myself not to like let it take me. And then, but usually that just kind of keeps me stuck. And then if I can get into the creative space, and even if it doesn't make sense, if I can just let some things come out and come through, usually I feel a relief and a release from whatever I was kind of hanging on to.
Yeah, cool. So I guess, there's a point where you feel like you have completed a song, or it feels like it has to be done at this point, or like you can't add anything more to it. So like, I guess, where is that point to you? How do you know whenever a song is done, or that, whenever you're done contributing to it?
Yeah, that is a funny question, because I think that's different with different songs. Occasionally I will really feel done with the song. Honestly, though, I realize now that's kind of the beauty of recording. I would say I've never finished a song until I've never truly finished a song until I've recorded it, and even farther than that, until I've like put it out. I wouldn't consider it done until I've, like tied it up in a little package and sent it out to the world and said like, here's the song. And then I move on from it, and I might play it differently if I do it live or whatever. But I think at that point I stopped thinking about the song. Like I stopped considering it. Like it's no longer like a living, breathing thing for me that's like in development. Because it's, I kind of compare it to, like, I'm 35, I don't have kids, I just have lots of songs, and like I kind of compare it to like that type of like child rearing or something. It's like I kind of like maybe I give it the initial like conception or whatever, and then I kind of like nurse it along, and then maybe like I play it live, so maybe I like give it a life by like playing it live or stuff in the recording of it. But it'll kind of usually be in the recording process for a minute, and I'll have to sort of like walk around it and look at it and let a few other people's ears get involved, get some other creative minds involved in it, and then yeah, at some point, hopefully before I hate it, because there's always a point where I'm like, I don't really like this anymore, which is why I've learned to get other people involved, because if someone else is involved, I'm like, no, like, don't give up on it, let's finish this. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I would say when I release it into the world, name it, let it be heard and whatever, then it's done. And ideally I stop thinking about it. That's totally not reality. I have a lot of songs I'm just like, oh, I could have done this other thing or whatever. But yeah.
But at the same time, there's like a level of like, once you do release it, in a way you're like proud of it. You're proud of the thing that you made enough to want to share it with other people, right?
Yeah. Usually I'm proud of it. I mean, definitely there's a level of being proud of it. And then there's also a level of like being sick of it. Just being like, oh, I'll get this thing out. Like, because I do know that I am proud of it. But like, if you stare at it too long, it's like you stop, that feeling or whatever. For me, that experience of like creating it is no longer available to me, like really like 2 days later. So like if I'm in the studio with it like 6 months later, because I can barely ever get into the studio with stuff these days, like I have to kind of remember, recall that kind of magic feeling that happens whenever you come up with something, because I come up with it, and if I could be in the studio that day or the next day, and usually that's why I'll do stuff at home as much as I possibly can, because that first inspiration, when it's first kind of pouring through you, it's like to catch that stuff and put it into the recording is when it's the best, I think.
Yeah. So I guess more kind of conceptual questions around music, but like, what is a sort of like deep nitty gritty or advanced concept in songwriting or composition or production that you feel like you're really excited about, or that you feel like no one's tried, and then you hear it in something and you're excited about it? Like what's some sort of like cutting edge thing that's on your mind?
That's a good question. I don't really think there's many cutting edge things on my mind. I'm not much for technology, if that's kind of what you mean. I struggle to I feel like I do things a very difficult way considering the amount of technology that's available now. I just don't really want to learn new machines to make music. But I did with a friend kind of recently, I did the like share a session over Zoom, which I don't know if that's kind of what you mean, but like where we could work together. Like she's in Austin, I'm in Oklahoma City, and we could work on a track together and like see the same session on the screen share or whatever. And she could run my operating system from her computer. And that was like super trippy to me because I've never done any, I don't do stuff. She's like super techie. I'm way not. And so that was like really wild for me and felt really cutting edge. I don't know if it actually is cutting edge. But that's probably really normal for a lot of people, but it wasn't for me.
Well, I think even more so, like, it doesn't even necessarily have to do with technology or something, but even like a songwriting trick or something that, like, I don't know, it's, like putting the bridge after the first chorus or something would be like something like, whoa, hey, I'd never tried this before. And now that I did, it really like is something that more people should try or something, you know?
Totally. Yeah. I don't really think about songs that way, I guess. Like I know that my songs technically, like some of them have what would be called like bridge or refrain or chorus or verse, but I don't often write songs knowing which is which or what is what in that regard. I kind of just see them as puzzle pieces, and like I don't necessarily I rarely like name them. It's usually only when I get in the studio and for like the producer or like engineer's sake for like his session, he wants to label stuff and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I guess that's the chorus or that's the verse. Like I often end up like starting a song in the chorus kinda, or like, but then I think it's the verse, but like turns out it's the chorus. I don't know. I don't really. Yeah.
Kind of another one of these is there such a thing as bad music?
Ooh. Man, I'm going to philosophically say no, but like taste wise, like there's music that I do not like. And it's usually way less about, I don't know how to say this without sounding like woo woo, but it's usually way less about the actual like music than it is about like what I see as like the energy behind it or like the vibe, like, and I mean, really like the voice. I have a thing with voices. If I don't like the voice of the singer, I'm not really probably gonna be able to get down with the song. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think there's bad music. I think there's pretty bad music out there. Like for me, a lot of it too is just like content, like what someone is writing about for me is what, makes me feel a little bit averse. Like I'm trying not to be anti stuff and just like focus on what I like and not what I dislike. But yeah, there's definitely stuff about music that I'm just like, oh no. Like I'm like whatever my day job right now, there's like a playlist on repeat and it's like there's some bad music on that, like, it's not like it's out of key or like pitchy. It's just like pointless is kind of how I see it. Like that song did not need to be written. Like,
yeah. And then kind of related with that is sort of, and these questions are kind of linked anyways, but do you separate art from the artist, and is there such a thing as selling out?
Ooh. Do you separate art from the artist? I think it's pretty hard to separate the art from the artist. I think it's hard to separate the art from a good artist anyways. I think a good artist is present in all of their art. Like, is that what you mean? Or you mean like, can I hear? Okay, so I see this as two different ways. Like one thing is like, yes, I can consume. I mean, I'm not someone to like investigate who is who in the art world, in the music world, like I don't know who's in what band or whatever, or even half the time what the band is. So I can definitely separate and consume like a piece of art or a piece of music without knowing anything about the artist and feel fine about that. But I also like to think that, you know, like you can hear an artist, and like a good artist can kind of like leave their imprint, even in a very subtle way, on anything they do, you know, like not necessarily because they have trademarks or whatever, but just like you can feel, hear, or see, or whatever. I think a good artist in all of their work.
Yeah. And I think you're pretty much like, yeah, you understood the question, right? It is like, you know, if you know that an artist is like an asshole or just a morally abhorrent person, you know, are you still able to listen to that? Do you recoil? Does it keep you from coming back to it?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't. It doesn't really. I choose not to know most of the time because I don't really want to. Because I think most people at one point or another have been like, have made shitty decisions or been assholes, or, you know, who am I to judge type thing. And I mean, there's different extremes of that, but like, no, I mean, a good song's a good song. And if I find out that the person was an asshole, like the song's still good. That doesn't like make the song bad all of a sudden, for me anyway. Oh, and then the selling out. I don't know. That's a weird question. I mean, like, that's just such a funny concept this day and age. I think, like I don't even know what that would mean now. I think the whole world's sold out. Like, I don't I think artists are not, yeah. I just think everyone's pretty much a sellout at this point, artists or non-artists. I think everyone's pretty well sold out to the capitalist, like whatever the heck that we're all trapped in. So whatever.
Couple more questions in the sort of you and music realm, but like what's something people don't normally know about you?
Maybe that I'm self-taught at every instrument I've ever learned. I play everything by ear. I'm not actually a musician. No, I'm just kidding. I am, but I play everything by ear. That's maybe something not everyone knows. I don't know. Yeah,
no, that is really cool. And like, and just for your sake, like, just because you don't know like necessarily the notes or whatever, it doesn't mean you're not a real musician, because you're probably more real a musician than like lots of people that are actually in like music school, for example. So
yeah, I mean, that's definitely my running joke with myself, though. It's like I always have that to like excuse myself. I'll be like, I don't know, I'm just self-taught, whatever. I don't know the rules.
And then what advice do you have for people that are wanting to make music like you do? Maybe not like you do, but make music.
Yeah. You know, I've been asked that type of thing before, and I really I mean, the only advice I have is like, just make the music, like, you know, talking about selling out or whatever. And I mean, my kind of sarcastic comment, everyone's sold out. I just kind of mean, you know, everyone's so hot for like making everything a career and like monetizing everything. I think most things have sold out, but like someone who wants to like make music, I mean, it just depends. It's like, if, you know, you want to make money, or do you want to make music? So those are not always, those are actually rarely going together. So I think you have to make that decision first, and you can do them together. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say I think the starving artist is like not, it's just like a myth. It doesn't have to be true, but I think like making music with the focus on money is just a very different thing, but it is doable, and it surely can still be fun and enjoyable, and you know, everything. And then there's like making music that just for you. And I think it's like maybe important to know your motive, and your motive might change, but just to make the music and like not wait for, I've just heard people approach me and be like, I really want to get into songwriting. And I'm just like, well, then write songs, like just get into songwriting. Then there's no like, I mean, I have heard of people who like, I went to a songwriting school and like, then I put out a record and like, whatever, you can do it that way. But just start writing songs. Like if you want to get into music, pick an instrument, play it, see what happens. Like, I think if it's in you, it's in you. And if it's not, then like maybe try going to school for it or whatever. If you really want it, like I think anyone can do it. Some people are more naturally inclined to it, but I don't think that excludes people who want to learn it more like mathematically or whatever. But yeah, just do it. Like, Nike says, like, literally just pick up the stuff and do it, and don't wait for like someone to give you permission to, don't wait for someone to give you permission or pay for you to go to school or like whatever. If you want to make music, just make music, and other stuff will come later. But no one's gonna like, you're not gonna get famous making music if you never make music.
Yeah. Switching gears into the deeper questions, what is the role of spirituality or religion in your life?
Well, I would say religion doesn't have much of a role in my life, but I would say spirituality is the director, is the writer, director, and producer of my show. Yeah, spirituality is definitely the very center of all of it.
I guess in what way, I guess, how would you describe your spirituality?
I would describe my spirituality as like a trust fall into a really deep, slow flowing river, and just like a surrender of sorts into the current, and going with the current and not fighting the current. My spirituality is like, I don't really have a way to name it per se. It involves a lot of different practices. I work with the tarot a lot. I work with, I don't know how to like, that's one of the more tangible forms of like ritual, I guess. I'm interested in astrology and psychology. I study things. I kind of fancy myself maybe a universalist. I really like religion, fascinates me. I am not a like subscriber specifically to one. If I had to pick one, I'm culturally Christian, but probably in practice a Buddhist. But really, I think there's a lot of amazing stuff in all of the ones I've ever encountered or read anything about. And they really all are saying the same thing. So I don't know, my spirituality really just entailed like a constant seeking and uncovering and like discovering more and more like how I'm connected to like that which is all, that came before me and that will remain after me, and just kind of like consistently like meditating on and contemplating how to just be in that and accept that and be one with it, while still being like a human being living in the world that we live in. It's such a complex topic that it seems hard to like answer that very firmly, but
yeah, no, I think that was a very nice and poetic way to describe it. So yes. What is your definition of God?
Well, that I really like the term good orderly direction as an acronym, God acronym. I really like Jungian theories, collective consciousness as the God head thing, or as like the God consciousness. I really relate to that, and my experience really lines up with that. The words that I use in and replace the 3-letter word is often like love or wisdom beyond my understanding, like higher self, or I think it's in the, I don't know, I'm not going to name the religion because I'll get it wrong, but there's like this term Atman or something. It's like the one, kind of the idea of just that one soul, or a soul. I don't even know if that's the right word, but just like whatever it is that we all are, that vibration, like God is like, it's a hard word for me because it's so hard to shake the bearded guy in the sky thing that works for some people but does not work for me, and so that word can be weird, but I do use it, because it words are just words, whatever, they're always limited, and especially when you're talking about like the most incomprehensible, like highest of high, I don't know, I don't know anything of like I don't know anything about God, but I know that I'm constantly looking for it, and so I think I'm pretty consistently also experiencing it because I'm looking for it. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. I know exactly what you mean. What do you think happens when we die?
Ooh. I'll preface my answer to this by saying, like, 100%, I have no idea. But I do like to think about that stuff. And I've definitely had some interesting, I'll say, encounters that kind of make me feel like it's not, like over. And then the whole idea of like energy neither being created nor destroyed is, I don't know. I'm pretty into the reincarnation idea. I don't know how, like, I don't know. I don't think like too deep into it. Like I have before in the past. I'm in a pretty comfortable place of not knowing and not needing to know. But I suffered like a traumatic loss of a family member not that long ago, and it is something that experience has kind of influenced, I think, some of my perception, my experience after that. And man, I don't really know, but I think it's something pretty amazing. And I'm not talking like pearly gates, but I definitely think there's, I don't know. I would like to think that there's some major like release and relief, that there's, the shackles of this like skin suit that we wear. I think, I don't know. I also kind of think it just 100% depends on the individual and their consciousness and how much work they have or have not done in this lifetime, which I think is kind of why I like the reincarnation thing. I think we can be set up for, I don't know, like I think it's like a built choose your own adventure type thing. It's kind of how I see it, and put in a simple way. Like, if you're ready for it, I feel like you could like level up and like really experience something new and grander. And maybe if you're not ready, you just kind of like hang around and like wait to try it again. I don't really know though. Like it's the most fun thing to speculate on though.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm glad you're on the other side in a good place about it.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we reduce the division between people, if that is a goal for you?
Well, I mean, I think like loving kindness, tolerance, it's a goal for me. to maybe reduce the division and like judgments between me and any other people. I think that's really about all I can do. I think that's about all any of us can do. I do I wish there's peace on earth? Definitely. But I know the only place I can really like have an impact on that is in my own day-to-day encounters. I think trying to walk through the world without judgment. I do not do it very well, but I am probably getting better,
Yeah. Do you believe humans are evil by nature?
Evil. No, I don't really. I don't. I don't really know how to explain that, but I don't really believe anything is evil by nature. I don't think anything in nature is inherently evil. I think everything is like that kind of duality. Like I just don't think that's reality. I think, even the most beautiful thing, like birthing of a baby is like a really violent experience really for that baby. I don't know. I guess I just think anything that's super dark is only seems that way because of the contrast light, and it's like everything kind of contains both. So no, long answer short, no, I do not think that people are inherently evil.
Thank you for finding the secret hatch out of that question, which is the direction that I normally want to go towards by asking that question.
What was the secret hatch?
Sort of bypassing the duality or the binary that is good versus evil, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think humanity is heading towards in the future?
Well, you just said it too. I think the non-binary, and not just like in a gender thing, but I think some transcendence is on the way. I think, I don't know. In one way, I think like, yeah, the end of civilization as we know it. But that doesn't mean like, I don't know, likely also means the beginning of a new civilization as we never knew it. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of doubt I'll see any of that. But I think I don't know, it's so tough. There's so much like hate and division, but then at the same time, there's like, existing right beside it is like an unprecedented amount of love and tolerance on massive scales, like things that used to be hidden or punishable by death or like whatever. There is like so many like minds expanded and like hearts that are open to others across barriers of like race and religion and culture and all this stuff. And there's still all the others that aren't, but these ones that are, I don't know, it's just like, can't deny that. So I don't know. I'd like to think just hopefully just like figuring out the planet thing, man. That's like, because people have been killing each other and hating each other forever. So just as long as we can stop doing it to the earth, like I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I don't know.
What are you optimistic about for our future or your future, I guess?
Man, I'm optimistic about, really collectively, I'm optimistic about the fact that things like meditation are becoming mainstream. And things like, the fact that like more people, like just the fact that more people are being exposed to the practice of meditation, and that's like a topic of conversation for people who that never ever would have been, is huge, because that kind of like turning inward, like that shit's gonna save the human race. I think like slowing down. I feel optimistic about that, about the fact that some of those practices have snuck into the mainstream society. And in my own future, I'm very optimistic about just having made some progress, in my own spiritual life and development and ability to let go and not swing so hard to either side, like to rest somewhere in the middle. I'm getting better and better at that as I get older. And so I can only hope to continue to practice the middle path and get better at it. And just mainly just stay committed to it. Whether or not I get better at it, I don't know. Probably doesn't matter.
What makes you content?
Well, I mean, gratitude, like, I don't know if that's a weird answer, but choosing to have gratitude in a moment definitely can change my perspective from discontented to contented. And I think with that, like, meditation, slowing down and seeing things as they really are can like allow me to have gratitude, and that keeps me content.
Cool. When will you be satisfied?
But I was just talking about this today. Like, I mean, I will be satisfied for like some minutes here and there, hopefully every day for the rest of my life. I don't think ever. I think it's I don't think humans are inherently evil, but I do think they're inherently hungry, or thirsty or something. And I think we are like desire factories, and once you get something, you want something else, or not, or maybe you find out what you got isn't what you thought, and so you want something else. And I think that's just kind of like part of the struggle of being human, is just like wanting something, and then what, and then you want something else. I mean, it's just kind of a endless cycle, I think. But I do have moments. I think the same thing is like what makes you contented. It's like I am content in a moment, and that's like when I'm satisfied with the present moment as it is, and I can accept things as they are without needing to change them, make them any better, or judging them or anything. And then something happens and I start judging it, and I'm no longer content and I'm no longer satisfied. But it's like a moment to moment thing. So I think I will be on and off for the rest of my days.
Last two questions. What advice do you have for people in general?
Worry less, enjoy more.
Awesome. Beautiful, simple.
Yeah.
And then lastly, potentially most importantly, cake or pie?
Dude, that's tough. I'm going to say cake. Yeah.
And corollary to that last question is, what is best cake?
Lavender cake from the Earth Natural Foods in Norman, Oklahoma.
Cool. Penny, thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm very glad to have had you. Where can we find you and your things?
Well, my music is at labrys.bandcamp.com, and that's LABRYS. And I'm on Instagram at I am LABRYS. That's pretty much the extent of my social media, but Bandcamp is where I post all my music, and you can find it on Spotify and iTunes and those places as well.
Yeah. Is there like anything to be expecting anytime soon, or, we've gotten some recent singles, but I don't know if those are like just one-offs, or is there like an album or something?
I am working on another single right now. But honestly, I am kind of, probably I'm getting a band together for some live shows. I think I'm going to try to record this winter a full length, because the singles were going to be a full length, but like studio time, everything during COVID kind of, didn't go as planned. So I'm just kind of going with the flow, and might put out another single before the end of the year, because there's one in the works, and then hopefully new record in the spring or summer of next year.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again. I'm Santiago Ramones, and you are?
Penny Pitchlynn. Thank you so much, Santiago.
And now here's Shy Walker by LABRYS. You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music and produce audio. I have an EP, a short album, that is streaming everywhere right now. It's called Soundbites. The music you're hearing right now is from Soundbites. Listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere else you stream music, or buy it on Bandcamp, because a single purchase is the monetary equivalent of streaming it all day, every day, for a year. I'm also working on another album, so if you'd like to hear that at some point, you can buy my music, or you can support me on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Santiago Ramones. Follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with all the stuff that I'm doing, both at bit.depth and at Santiago Ramones Music. There's also a Discord server in which we discuss deep topics from the podcast, but it's also a community of beautiful human beings. Go to santiagoramones.com/Discord to join. If you like the podcast, leave comments on social media, leave reviews by saying how much you like the podcast, and tell your friends about it. I really couldn't be doing this without you, and I am so very grateful to continue doing Bit Depth for this long. Thank you so much for listening to and supporting Bit Depth. I always end the podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong.